Well, I was walking home and a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to go smoke a joint, so I said, yeah, and we went over to his house and smoked a joint.
What'd you do after that?
Then we had decided to come over here, but it was raining, so we just waited till it stopped, and then we came over here, and he smoked a joint with me and my brother.
You still high?
Yeah, a little.
Feel good?
Yeah.
A 12-year-old schoolboy stoned on reefer, marijuana. For years, we have debated the legal and medical ramifications of marijuana smoking. But for the most part, we've talked about adults. All our medical research has been done on adults. This report is not about adults, and it is not about the occasional use of marijuana. It is about chronic marijuana smoking by American youngsters. Suddenly, in just the past few years, hundreds of thousands of American youngsters have become daily marijuana smokers. Not experimenters, not occasional users, but chronic smokers. In their own words, potheads. They smoke not just at weekend rock concerts. They smoke every day. And not just teenagers, but children. They are smoking reefer with a frequency and in ways that are potentially disastrous.
How many joints I was smoking was about 100 a week.
100 joints a week?
It's about 10 a day, a little more. And usually, a large group that I know that I'm friendly with smokes in the morning, smokes in the afternoon, and smokes at night. And any time in between there, too.
To support a habit this extensive, where do these kids get the money?
They work for it. Some take it from their bar mitzvah or confirmation money. Some deal for it.
I like when I get up in the morning, I like to smoke one, or after I eat, I kind of like to smoke one then, or just when there's a bunch of people around, that's when I really like to smoke pot.
What effect do you think smoking marijuana has on your work at school?
Not too good of effect, because when you smoke marijuana, you just don't feel like doing work right then. You don't feel like even getting into it at all, listening or nothing. It just makes it seem like a drag. It makes you feel like you're in a dream. It's not normal, and it's not too active. You're just in between, just right.
NBC News presents Reading, Writing, and Reefer. Reported by Edwin Newman.
Brian lives in Florida, but there are children like Brian in almost every American city. Children who, even before they enter high school, have become veteran marijuana users.
How old were you when you started smoking regular?
About 8.5, 9.
How often do you get stoned?
Almost every day.
How does it make you feel?
Good. I just feel relaxed, you know. Just like to sit there and watch TV or do something.
Could you tell us about your smoking habits? When do you light up your first joint?
Well, on the weekends when I first get up, after a while, I just smoke a couple joints to get off, and then I just wait a while, and then after I've gone down, and I smoke some more. And on weekdays, I usually don't smoke in the morning, but sometimes I buy a couple joints and go up to the bus stop, and we match each other. But it's usually I just wait till after school and come home and get high with my brother and stuff.
Do many of your friends smoke at school?
Yeah, almost all of them. About 20% don't.
What grade are you going to be in this year?
8th.
Like most of the children you will meet in this report, Brian lives in a pleasant neighborhood. He is not a deprived child, he is not a delinquent, he does not like alcohol, tobacco, or PCP. Smoking marijuana, toking they call it, is what he and his friends prefer. And their entire lives have come to revolve around what they call copping a buzz.
How many joints do you smoke a day?
Around 5. Sometimes more, because sometimes like there's a party Friday night or something, we just smoke almost our whole bag, say.
When you say you smoke 5 joints, by yourself?
No, with friends, like just friends of mine.
How many joints does it take you to get high?
Probably just about a half a joint, not even that much. Just about 3-4 tokes, and I've copped a buzz.
And how long does the buzz last?
About an hour.
And then you toke up again?
Yeah, I just take like 3 or 4 more tokes and then just put it out and save it for after a while.
Often, by the time Brian boards the morning school bus, he and some friends have shared their first joint. Sometimes they decide not to go to school. In one 9-week period last year, Brian skipped school 16 days without his mother's knowledge. He spent those days stoned on marijuana. There was a time when Brian was an excellent student, interested in school. That has changed.
I just feel good getting high in the morning at first, but then after a while, I just get real tired and fall asleep in class and stuff.
I feel it has made him sort of forgetful and just not really caring like he used to. But now that I realize that he smoked some before school, now I can really see why his grades have gone down.
What happens if you're sitting in a classroom high and a teacher is giving a lecture?
I just sit there. I listen, but I don't remember it after she said it. So she said something, and she'll call on me to answer the question. I'll say, what? What?
They are using it often, every day, and many times throughout the day. And I, to be honest, didn't even realize how often my own son was using it till this interview.
Experts like Dr. Robert DuPont believe that many adults are not aware of the extent of their children's smoking.
No, they're not. And I think this is a very sad fact. Over the age of 25, the levels of marijuana use fall very dramatically. And over 30, they fall to practically zero in the total population. So that people who are adults don't see very much marijuana use and are utterly unaware of both the extent of it and the rapid increases that are going on in marijuana use. You see it going on all over the country right now, involving schools, involving parents, everybody. People don't want to see the problem.
They don't understand it. You know, they try really hard to understand it, but they don't know what's going on, and it's hitting them really hard, you know.
What is going on?
Their kids are out getting high.
Dr. Johnston, your annual surveys of American high school seniors show a steady rise in the number of students who are daily habitual smokers of marijuana. Is that trend continuing? What do your 1978 figures show?
Yes, it is continuing. We're finding that among the most recent high school class, 1978 seniors, that about 11% are reporting daily or near daily marijuana use. And this figure is up considerably from an earlier class, 1975, where the comparable number was about 6%. So the number of daily users has nearly doubled in 3 years.
What that University of Michigan study means is that nationwide, 11% of all American high school seniors were smoking marijuana every day. Those are just high school seniors. An official government report says that in 1977, more than 4 million young Americans, ages 12 to 17, were what the report called current users of marijuana.
It's no longer uncommon for 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and even younger people to be using marijuana on a regular basis.
I think it's important that during this same period where we've been observing a constant increase in marijuana use, the proportion of young people who are involved with other illicit drugs has remained very stable, almost exactly where it has been over the last 4 years.
Lisa is 15 now, but she has been smoking marijuana for a long time.
When did you start smoking regularly?
In the 7th grade.
How much did you smoke?
About 4 or 5 joints a day.
How long have you been smoking 4 or 5 joints a day?
3 years.
What effect did it have on you?
I like the high.
What was it about marijuana that made it so important to your life?
When you get high, you mellow out a lot. You forget about your problems, school, tensions.
Do many of the kids smoke as much as you do?
Mm-hmm.
Chris attends the same high school as Lisa in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia. He became a marijuana user at age 11. Now he's 15 and a heavy marijuana smoker.
Well, when I don't have it, it depends on how many people, front it to me or whatever you want to call it. Like, when I don't have it, I smoke between 10 and 15 a week, not including Friday nights and Saturday nights. And then when I got it, I smoke twice that much.
You smoke 30 joints a week if you have a bag of your own?
If I got a bag of my own, it's usually gone in 2 hours.
Why do you smoke that much? What do you get out of it? You just like the high?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice feeling. You can sit back and relax and listen to the music and have your fun. Like, you smoke your first joint, and if you've been smoking it a long time, then you get your buzz, going. And that's when your head's kind of like, it's just barely on the tip where you want more, And then by the time you smoke the second joint, you'll be high, and then you're just like, you're relaxed, and you don't let nothing bother you, and nothing ever bothers you. When you're normal, every little thing, could bother you, but like when you're high, you don't let nothing bother you, let it pass by.
Seriously, how has it affected your grades?
Well, my grades were all right till I hit the 7th grade, and that's when I started getting high, too. The highs are more important than the grades, more or less.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't really know. I had no idea.
But you want to be a marijuana smoker?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I know I'm going to be that.
So he went into his father's room and killed his father with the axe. And then, when his mother stirred in her sleep, he killed her with the axe.
These are scenes from the anti-marijuana film Reefer Madness, released in 1936.
The demons of marijuana were not satisfied. He went from there into his brother's room and killed his brother.
In those days, marijuana was called the devil's weed. Films portrayed marijuana as the certain cause of murder, insanity, and sexual depravity. With publicity like this, it's not surprising that by 1937, marijuana was illegal in America. But the anti-marijuana propaganda was so distorted and heavy-handed that it produced a backlash. There was so much exaggeration of the evils of the drug that many people stopped believing any bad news about marijuana. That skepticism is still with us. And it's one reason that today's young pot smokers are reluctant to believe that marijuana is anything but a harmless herb. That attitude is encouraged by advertisements like this one, suggesting that Uncle Sam wants you to smoke marijuana through a water pipe, or what potheads call a bong. Peddling the paraphernalia of marijuana smoking has become a $250 million industry. Much of the advertising seems to be aimed at young people, like these space pistols, designed not for games, but to squirt marijuana smoke into the lungs. And there's a Frisbee called Catch a Buzz. It has a built-in pipe for smoking marijuana between tosses. Milk and cookies are used as a background to pitch rolling paper. These days, not many Americans roll their own tobacco cigarettes, but a lot of people, including children, roll joints. The rolling paper comes in strawberry and banana flavors. All of these advertisements appear in High Times magazine, a publication aimed at the American drug culture. Many youngsters told us they got most of their news about marijuana from High Times. And from such a source, they are not likely to get much adverse information about the drug. The implication of some advertisements is that reefer is good for everybody, regardless of age. Some young people have come to believe that.
Like a friend of mine, they have a kid, and he gets high. Even one night we got him high. He's about 2 or 3.
How do you get a 2 or 3-year-old child high?
You just teach him how to toke, and he tokes it. Then he starts getting red-eyed, then you know he's high.
How did he act?
Then he starts jumping around.
Do you ever think that regular marijuana smoking, the kind of smoking you do, and the kind of smoking your friends do, 10, 20, 30 joints a week, might turn out to be harmful to your health?
No, I don't have a doubt in my mind, you know, that it'll hurt me. It won't never hurt me, I know.
No, I don't really think it could harm you. And I don't really think it does nothing to your body except, you know, sometimes make you just feel like a statue or something. Not really like that, but where you don't want to move.
Young pot smokers are fond of praising the pleasures of the simple weed. Marijuana is a weed, but it contains over 300 chemicals. 60 of those chemicals are found in no other plant. The most potent of them is called THC. THC is the major intoxicating element in marijuana, which this is, grown in a government laboratory. THC is what makes the pot smoker feel high. Now, the THC content, and therefore the potency of marijuana, can be increased by selective cultivation, and that is happening. On the average, the marijuana available in our streets and schoolyards has become more than 10 times stronger in just the past 4 years. Potheads like this so-called good material, but it means that just as our children are taking up chronic pot smoking at a younger age, the chemical content of the marijuana they're smoking is growing stronger and stronger. When the pot smoker uses that good material, the smoke carries a variety of chemical compounds to the lungs. Within seconds, the THC begins to circulate throughout the body, carried by the fatty particles in the bloodstream. Almost instantly, there is an effect on the brain. As with alcohol, the human thought process is chemically altered. This state of intoxication is what getting stoned is all about. Along with the intoxication, the heartbeat increases dramatically. This is why many scientists believe that no one with a heart condition should use marijuana. Unlike alcohol, the THC from marijuana remains in the body for a long time. Up to 3 days after you've smoked a joint, half the THC is still in your body, where it tends to accumulate in the reproductive system, the brain, and other vital organs. Just how long the last traces of THC remain in the body, no one knows. The more you smoke, the greater the accumulation. That may be one reason that heavy smokers seem to develop a tolerance. They have to smoke more marijuana or stronger marijuana in order to feel high. But what concerns scientists are the potential long-term effects of THC accumulating in the vital organs. No one knows what those effects will be, but many scientists are particularly concerned about the chronic use of marijuana during the formative years of childhood and adolescence. Dr. Sidney Cohen of UCLA is among them. Dr. Cohen, are you more concerned about marijuana use by young people than you are about marijuana use by adults?
Yes, I am, and especially for the following reason. Not only do they have longer periods of time to be exposed to marijuana and therefore possibly harmed by it, but youth is a time of learning how to deal with life, how to cope, how to deal with stress, how to manage anxiety. If you don't learn it then, when do you learn it?
Are you saying then that marijuana would stand in the way of young people going from adolescence to adulthood?
To psychological adulthood, yes. And this can be dangerous. And this is why I'm particularly concerned about very young people, and we're hearing now of 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds becoming over-involved in this drug.
Young people themselves are discovering at least one effect of chronic smoking. They call it being burned out. The first symptoms are a drastic change in the way marijuana makes you feel.
when I first started getting high, I'd be laughing and everything. But lately, you know, I just get kind of mellowed out and I don't say much. I become real quiet and everything. And I don't know if the high, I guess I'm kind of sick of the high.
Well, usually a new smoker, you know, is real active, tries to make everyone laugh at them, and is always talking and moving around doing something. But the people who've already smoked or burnt out, they just like to sit around, watch TV, or they don't like to do much.
What stage are you in?
Just sitting around stage. I don't do much. I just sit around, pick something to eat. It just makes me drowsy and just like to sit there and not move. Say I'm thirsty, I'm just so plumped out I don't even want to go get something to drink.
You are high, but you don't consider it as high. You know, it's just another thing. And you'd have to smoke more of it once you smoked it a while than you would if you just started smoking it. Like, instead of one joint, it'd take 2 or 3 joints. So.
Is that why you smoke more now?
Yeah.
The young man we're talking to spends a lot of time just sitting and listening to music. Keith is 16. He's been a daily marijuana user for more than a year. Now his friends call him burned out.
Being burned out, that's just, you don't get high when you smoke it, or you just acting kind of really dumb, you know. Somebody, they'll talk to you and you don't hear them or you don't pay attention to them. That's when people start calling you burnt out.
You have trouble with your memory?
Yeah, you forget what you're saying.
Who told you you were burned out, and why did they tell you that?
Just my friends clowning around, you know, they're saying, "Oh, you're burnt out," you know.
What were you doing that made them say that?
They'd be talking to me, and I'm just not paying attention and not realizing that they were talking to me.
I've seen this too, and it's entirely possible that youngsters who smoke lots of good pot over long periods of time sustain some mental impairment which is not completely reversible. It may go on for months, and there is a suspicion that some of it may be permanent, so that they're not as keen, as sharp as they were previously. This may not be perceived by the youngster.
I say, "Hey, burnout, you know, we're talking to you." But I don't consider myself ever being burnt out. I don't know, you know. They may say that I am, but I don't.
Have you ever seen other people who you think are burnt out who don't think they're burnt out themselves?
Yeah, I do. When I smoke by myself, I just think about things. And, you know, you can just think about things that you don't think about when you're not smoking it. Just not anything in particular, just anything, really. You can just, you're not bored because you kind of like got something to do. You know, you're thinking. Or you're just doing something.
But you're sitting still.
Yeah. And you don't think to yourself that you're sitting still not doing anything. You're sitting still thinking about things. And you don't think to yourself that you're bored. At least I don't, anyway.
Have you ever done anything when you were really stoned that you were really proud of? You know, put a bike together or anything like that? Or is it mostly just sitting when you are stoned?
Well, I may have done it, but I don't really remember it, you know. Just nothing that's really important. When I'm stoned, I just like sitting back and just listen to music mostly. That's what I like doing when I'm high.
But if you stay stoned most of the time, that means that's what you do most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what parents can do because I've tried everything. I know, I've asked, I've read, I've studied, I've prayed. I'm still looking for an answer. I'm not going to give up hope because I am that fearful of it. I'm afraid that the effects will be very major. And it's going to be found out at a point of no return as far as the youngsters that are engaged now in it.
Basically, a young person who is chronically stoned is not coping with the important tasks of growing up. He is going to be diverted from the normal growth and is going to find himself further and further behind his peers.
Kids don't think about their future because they don't...
This young man is a member of an organization called Pot Smokers Anonymous. He quit marijuana when he began to see the effects of chronic smoking on his own life.
I was getting a little lazy, and I figured that sooner or later I was going to get burnt. I was going to have the burnout feeling, as you said. And then sooner or later I was just going to be totally wasted. And I didn't want to be it that way. I want to make something of myself.
Well, some of them will stop, I would hope, and recoup. Others who continue to use this good material and continue over many years may be so impaired that they will never function at their best level of effectiveness.